So how will you do that continuous bhajan? Many of you have heard this point before. How will you do continuous bhajan? How will you keep your mind in God continuously? You have to learn to feel His presence with you. See, we are habituated to feeling His presence in one place, in the temple. You go to the temple, you feel His presence. Immediately you become reverential. Immediately you offer your respects. You feel the presence of God there. Everybody is feeling in different ways. In Islam, they are feeling the presence in the Kaaba. I had recently in Pittsburgh gone to the St. Vincent Cathedral in the St. Vincent University. So the father, he was taking us around and he came to one place and he showed us, we feel the presence of God here. He repeated that statement 3 times. I said, listen, this is exactly deity worship. We are feeling the presence of God in the deity, you are feeling the presence of God here. So, we are all habituated to feeling His presence in one place. But now we have to go further. We have to extend that definition. Otherwise, we get limited. God is here, He is watching me. So, when I go out of the temple, nobody is watching me. So, in the temple, don't do any mischief. And outside, do whatever you like. Nobody is watching. This definition of ours needs to be changed. This whole world is the temple of God. He is always with us. He is always watching. The Vedas say, Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vriksham parikhasvajate. It says there's a tree. In the tree are 2 birds sitting. The first bird is eating the fruit of the tree. The second bird is just watching. Not doing anything, just watching. It is a friend of the first bird, but it's not interfering. The first bird is unaware of its friend's presence. If it can only turn around towards its friend, do a left about turn or a right about turn, however, turn around towards its friend, all its miseries will finish. Now this Vedas are giving the analogy of the tree, comparing the body to the tree. In the body are 2 birds, the soul and the supreme soul. The soul, that is us. The supreme soul, that is God, He is also seated inside. So the soul in this tree is tasting the fruit of its karmas. Sometimes sweet fruits come, sometimes bitter fruits come. Usually it is bitter fruit. Everybody is unhappy. So usually it is bitter fruit, and the soul is unaware that its friend is also inside. If the soul can just do an about turn, God is with me, all his miseries will finish. So we just need to realize that we are not one, we are 2. I and God. We are not one, we are 2. He is always with me. There was once a Mohammedan fakir, one Mia Sahib. He used to read the namaz 5 times a day. Now he read the namaz so much that his knees, they got bruised badly. The second Mia Sahib said, "You have read the namaz so much. Did you meet God, Allah?" He said, "No." What does that mean? That Allah has not liked any of your namaz. The first asked the second, "Mia Sahib, have you met Allah?" The second, he just lied. He said, "Yes, I meet him every day." So the first said, in that case, next time you meet him, you ask him, Did he like any of my namaz or not? Second said, I'll do it. He went. It was not a question of meeting Allah. He came back the next day. The first Mian Sahib asked him, so, did you meet Allah? Yes. Did you ask him whether he liked my namaz or not? Yes, I asked him. What did he say? He said he did not like any namaz that you have read. The first one heard it. He lifted his hands and started dancing. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. The second said, I was trying to put him down and he's dancing in joy. After 5 minutes, the first became normal. The second one asked him, why were you dancing? Did you not hear what I said? That Allah did not like your namaz. The first one said, yes, I heard. But you said he did not like any of my namaz. That means that he has heard every namaz which I have said. So in the last 50 years, 5 times a day I have been reading the namaz. He's been hearing every time. Only that's why he has decided that he doesn't like even one. So I, insignificant soul, even upon me, Allah's benevolent eyes are always there. Thinking of this, I was dancing in joy. So it is a fact that God is always with us. He is always watching. We have to bring this in our awareness. That is the sadhana of Karma Yoga that Kripaluji Maharaj explains, that I have explained to many of you in the pravachan, that you always feel the presence of God. Wherever you go, when you begin your work, stop for a moment and feel, Sri Krishna is with me. He is watching. Feel His presence and then begin your work. So when you keep on practicing this, slowly, 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 Sri Krishna's awareness will come into your consciousness. Ramakrishna Paramahansa explains. He says there is a potter woman. She is making pots. On that wheel, she is making mud earthen pots. And she's got a baby in her lap. And a customer has come and is asking, what is the price of that pot? So the woman is doing 3 things. She is continuing to make that pot, and she's also got a little bit of awareness in the baby, and she's also answering the questions of that customer. So she's doing 3 things. So similarly, you do all your things, but maintain the awareness that God is with you. Then we will reach that point of avyavrit, constant bhajan, while living in this world, lokopi. Next sutra. Sutra number 38. Mukhyatastu mahatkripayaiva bhagavatkripaleshadva. Now Narad ji brings the topic of the Guru. So in his 84 sutras, these 5 sutras, he has discussed the topic of the Guru. So he says this bhakti that I am talking about, you will get it primarily through the grace of the Guru. And bhagavatkripaleshadva, God's grace, just one lesh, one tiny fragment. So when Narad ji has laid so much of emphasis upon the Guru, the question arises, what is the need of the Guru? You just engage in devotion to God. In so many of the scriptures, the Guru is highly emphasized, in fact, in every scripture. In the Bhagavatam, there is the story of Rahugan and Jad Bharat. You may have heard of Jad Bharat. He is a very unique personality in the Puranas. In his previous life, Previous, he was Bharat Maharaj, a great king. However, he got detached. He renounced his kingdom and went off into the jungle and started engaging in severe austerities and sadhana. As a result of that sadhana, his mind got highly elevated. However, one day, he found that there was a deer drinking water from the stream. A female deer. And suddenly a lion roared. This deer had a baby in the stomach. So with the roar of the lion, the deer dropped the child, the newborn child, from its womb and ran in fear. Now Bharat Maharaj, seeing that helpless baby deer, picked it up and he started taking care of it. So as a result of taking care of it, slowly he started getting attached to the deer. Until his mind got diverted from the sadhana to the deer. And he would always be thinking, how is the deer? Where is the deer? It's gone off. When will it come back? So the mind was attached to the deer. And when he died, he was thinking what will happen to the deer. So the Bhagavad Gita says, wherever your mind gets attached, that is what you will attain. In his next life, he was forced to become a deer. However, because of his spiritual prowess, in his past life, he retained his consciousness. And even as a deer, he would visit the hermits, the ashrams or monasteries of sages. And he would pass his life. When he died finally, he became again a human being. He became Jad Bharat. So this time he said, I will not miss this opportunity. I will use my life for God realization. So he would pretend to be a madman, totally oblivious of social customs, in order to keep worldly people away, so that nobody would trouble him with social duties and obligations. So he would roam around like a madman. So the Bhagavatam states that there was this king, Rahugan, who was the king of that land. He was going somewhere and a river came in front. So some people were needed to lift him on the palanquin and take him across the river. So the king's servants, the king instructed them, get somebody. One person was short. They found Jad Bharat and they saw that he is a stout, healthy person. They called him, come on, you also have to lift the palanquin. So he put it on his shoulder from behind. However, Jad Bharat, because of his spiritual elevation, when he would walk, he would be very careful that his feet should not step on an ant. He would shun violence. So, because there were ants on the ground, he would sometimes place his foot towards the left, sometimes to the right. The whole palanquin would shoot this way, then this way, and King Rahugan, his head would hit this side and then that side. Rahugan said, what is wrong with you servants? Are you intoxicated today? Can't you walk straight? And they said, oh king, it's not our fault. This new person who has come, he is doing all the problems. So the king looked at him. So when the situation became too serious, Rahugan said, stop. And then he lectured Jad Bharat that why can't you walk properly? However, when he looked at Jad Bharat carefully, he was impressed by his demeanor, his personality. He said, he is not an ordinary person. He looks like a very elevated saint. So then he started discussing with him. And there's a whole dialogue in the Bhagavatam, the discussion between Jad Bharat and Rahugan. There are various dialogues in the Bhagavatam, and knowledge is imparted to us through those dialogues. So then Jad Bharat gives him a number of instructions. And one of the instructions he says, Rahu ganais tat tapasanayati nachet jaya nirvapanad grihadva na chandasa naiva jalagni suryair bina mahatpadarajobhishekam. He says, Rahugan, you do yoga, you do yagya, you do jap, tap, vrat, puja, you go to the holy places, you do as much chanting as you like, as much tratak dhyan as you like, until you take a bath in the dust of the lotus feet of a guru, a God-realized saint, you will not be able to get spiritual realization. So the same message is echoed in all the scriptures. Why is this? The reason is that in order to tread the spiritual path properly, first of all, you need proper theoretical knowledge. Just like to become an engineer, you need proper knowledge. You don't start inventing and discovering your own. So when in worldly life you need knowledge, how much more important it is in spiritual field where the immediate realization is not there. So you need a teacher who can explain to you theoretical knowledge. The problem is that God has a rule. He says, I will not come initially. Nirmala mana jana so mohi pava. He says, when your mind is totally pure, I will come and give you my darshan. I will come and meet you. Until then, I don't know. You do your sadhana, become of pure mind, and you will see me. So what do we do now? He is not going to come initially. Where do we get knowledge from? The knowledge is there in the scriptures. These scriptures are a reservoir of knowledge, like the Bhakti Darshan itself. There are hundreds of scriptures in the Vedic tradition. But the problem is they are all divine. And when we endeavor to understand them with our material intellect, we become confused. So the scriptures themselves are teaching us, you understand us through a guru.